Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Okay, I'd like to give a warm welcome to our main speaker, Don N.
Hi everybody, my name is Don and I'm an alcoholic. And I'd like to thank our secretary, who didn't even know me, and actually it was Lila. Thank you, Lila, for telling the secretary. She had the nerve to get up here and say that all our speakers are stunning. And I said, she never even heard me. I may talk Chinese, you know. I might not have shit to say. There's some old stranger off the street, you know what I mean? Oh, he said he was an alcoholic, you know. Anyway, happy birthday to the birthday people and the chip people. And let me see, I always kind of get jacked up when I have to tell this story, you know what I mean? Because I always want to tell it different, you know. I'd like to, you know, because I've heard it a lot, you know. I'd like to. And I tell me, Donald, just tell this plain old story, you know what? And most of the people in this room haven't heard it, so that's pretty good too. I'm glad of that, because you know, people, you know, hear me over and over again. I was born in LA a long time ago, and I come from a nice little Christian Baptist family. And at one time, I was a young Negro boy. Before that, I was colored. That's a long time ago. I was born during the Depression, you know, and I was never depressed, you know. But I was born during the Depression, and my mother and father were, you know, they were nice people. You know, all I could tell you is they were nice people on the outside, and actually they were nice people, but they were very strict, you know, just extremely strict. They wanted us to mind all the time. Anything they said for us to do, they wanted us to do it right then and there. And if you didn't do it right then and there, it was your ass, you know? And so, you know, it was kind of like I wanted to grow up so that I could get them, you know what I mean? That they really, you know, because they whip you and everything. I said, I'll get them one day. They'll be sorry for every lick they put on me, you know? Really, then they were, bless their hearts. I hear people come to the fellowship and their parents were really shitty, you know, and everything. They treated them so bad, emotional, trauma and physical trauma, and they never got a chance to get them, so they're still mad, you know what I mean? I got mine. Boy, I made them pay. They paid dearly. Cash money, they had to stay up late at night and worry I stole their shit and everything. I kept them in an uproar all the time, you know. They used to lock everything up when I came home, you know. And they said, and the older you get, the worse you get, you know. And I started out as a nice little kid. I'm not kidding, you know. I was one of those little kids that you would think was fun, you know, and you liked to have me around. And I went to school, and the teachers liked me, and the kids in class liked me, and got to junior high school, and I had a good time there, you know. It was fun being in school and playing ball and going to recess and volleyball and doing the classes and raising your hand, and I liked that. And one of the things, being the flag monitor, that was fabulous. You march along with the American flag, you know, proud of your country and everything. I found out later I got pissed off, you know, everything. You know, but at the time I was very happy with this flag, you know. I'm from LA, and LA was real nice long time ago. Anyway, and then I went on to high school, and I was, in all the student body activities, and, I was in student body government, and I ran track, and I was on the cross-country team, and I was a star, and all that, just had a good time in school, and, and participated in everything. I had a lot of cousins that went to school with me, so we were well protected, so it's like you couldn't hit me, because you had to hit 30 cousins, too, so I was well protected, and I liked it, and I was often selected to integrate places, and I would go and integrate gladly, and everything. And I got tired of integrating later on, but it's a drag, really, after all, but when you're trying to live your life and everything. But at any rate, I was elected to represent Los Angeles at the United Nations, those kind of things. And they'd fly me across the nation, and have me go in there, this young man of America, and all that, and get there. And I remember what I wanted. I wanted a drink, I did, and I remember asking them, and because I was 17, and I said, well, could we go to Greenwich Village? I wanted to go to Greenwich Village, naturally. I'm from Hollywood. And so I went to go to Greenwich Village and have some wine, and they wouldn't let us do it. And I thought, how silly of these grown-ups, And then I represented at the Washington, D.C., at the Supreme Court, there I am in the Supreme Court being one of the noble young people of America, So this is what I'm giving you a background. The family thought this guy, I was pretty smart in school. Actually, I was clever. I could, learn quickly, that type of thing. Like how they give you something to learn, I'd learn it fast like that, and then you could front it off like you're really smart, and everything. And so that's the way I did it, And plus I could remember real good back then. I can't remember shit now. That's called CRS, can't remember shit. Anyway, there I was, back there, being a teenager, running track, representing Los Angeles, and, just being cute, and everything. But I wanted to get loose. That's all I knew, is I wanted to get loose, and I was just like this first speaker. I wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I was so sick of grown-ups telling me what to do. It just makes you sick. They want you to come home at night. They want you to be in at a certain time. They want to tell you what to wear. They want to tell you who to be with, and all that. And I wanted to do just what I wanted to do, and please leave me alone. So I couldn't wait, I couldn't wait. So, as soon as you get big enough, as soon as you're big enough, you can talk back. I don't know if you all did, but I talk back, that kind of thing. And then I learned how to drink, with the gang in the neighborhood. Everybody passed around a bottle of wine. I think what it was white port wine. And you pass it around, and like I give Diana a sip, she gets some, and then you get a sip, then I get a sip, but it wasn't enough. I wanted a whole long sip, and so I said, I'm gonna get my own bottle, and so I got my own bottle. I stole a lot too, and some type of defective character, but I got my bottle of wine, and I went to the show at the Westlake Theater, which is down in MacArthur Park area, and it was Halloween, and it was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and Dracula's daughter, or something like that, and we went to see it, and I remember going to the show and killing my bottle of wine, a fifth of wine. I'm happy as I could be, got in the show and sat down to see the movie, and pretty soon my cousins are ushering me out. Come on, let's go on home, and everything. I said, go home. I said, well, when's the show gonna start? And they said, the show is over. I thought, wow, how it puzzles you, get over, what happened? So, you don't want to look too dumb, so you just let it go like you knew all the time, But that was the start of something big. I started to drinking and partying and running up and down through Los Angeles, going to the bars. I forged my ID, to be big groaner than I was, you know. And there I'm in and out of those places just drinking all night long. And part I never thought one thing about it. You know what I mean? I never considered whether this was right, wrong, or indifferent. I didn't really care. And if you didn't like it, too bad, you know. And I ran around with people that drank like me, and so it was nothing to it. So I'd have these terrible hangovers. I went in this service. I'll tell you that real quick. I joined the service for a hot minute I was in, and I went in, and I had, you know, I'm from LA. I had never been any place, but, you know, I went back there to represent, you know, but I was in style, you know. And I got in the service, and they made me a policeman. And I really didn't want to be a policeman at all. You know, I thought I wanted to be anything but a policeman. You know, I wanted to be administrative assistant of somebody or something like that. But they made me a policeman. And then to top it all off, they sent my ass to Alaska. Now, I'm from LA. I had never seen snow in my life. This shit starts coming down, and the first day is beautiful, you know, like you remember, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, you know, and you think how lovely and clean it looks, but it keeps falling, and it doesn't stop. And then it coagulates somehow or another, you know, and turns to mush. And then these little humps are in the ground. And you have to take little teeny steps. And I'm drunk, too, you know. So trying to walk around on that slick ice, bumpy stuff with the blizzards coming in your face. I thought, this is ridiculous. And then they had the nerve to have me guarding airplanes. Now, this is what they told us. These jets were out here on the runway, and we must guard them with our lives because the Russians were going to come over and sabotage these jets. You know, I thought they won't be here at night like this. You know, one more lie, you know. That's when I stopped liking the flag. They had the nerve to put the American flag out in the snow, and we had to go and take it down. You know, and they're taking the flag down. This wind is whipping in your eyes, and the cold, and you're free, and the eyes. Oh no, I didn't even want to acknowledge it. I wished I was from Egypt, anywhere. Yeah, but anyway, I told them I didn't want to be in it anymore. I didn't want to play, and I want to go home. So I went home. And I got back here to LA and I started partying more, you know. And I had really learned to drink a lot up there in Alaska. I carried around a pint of sloe gin on my hip to keep me warm, and drank chug-a-lug beer all the time. So I got back home, and I was big enough then, and people in my neighborhood were smoking weed then, you know. So I'm grown now, so, you know, well, get me some weed too. So they brought some weed over, and I smoked that weed, and I thought, you know how they make you, my eyelashes got real long and glittery. I thought, oh, I love this shit. I'm gonna smoke it forever, you know. So I started smoking weed and drinking wine and beer, and I'm going along. And somebody came by and had some pills. The same time, I got my first grown-up job at the county hospital and I was working out of the dispatch office, and through the dispatch office came all the medications that the doctors got as samples. All these different from all the different laboratories. Well, you know, I was quite literate. I could read, you know, and I would read this thing here and it would say, you suffer from anxiety. I said, yes. You know, are you depressed and you're unable to come on? Yeah. So there I am taking pills, and you know, you have to drink a lot of wine to swallow the pills and keep you awake, you know, at night. But you're running your mouth and everything. These are Benzedrine and Dexedrine and all this stuff, and then they downers came on the scene, and so, you know, there I am juggling it, you know, drinking the wine, smoking the weed, trying to take the right amount of pills so I'll be ready, you know. And I was ready a lot. I didn't go nowhere, but I was ready. Drunk most of the time. I met this guy who was from San Francisco, and he was a lush. Now, this kid was a lush. I said, you really need to smoke weed or something because you're too drunk, you know. And so, anyway, him and I got to be friends, and so we'd be real loaded. And he asked me one day, can you get some heroin, you know? And I said, sure, I can get some heroin. And I dashed up to the corner and bought it, you know, and we had us some heroin, and we shot this heroin, drinking our cocktails and everything, and we shot the heroin, and my head went down. I just, oh, yeah, I'm going to shoot this shit the rest of my life, you know? That's just the way I am. Give me some more. Just give me some more. So I just performed like this for year in and year out. Just stayed loaded, shooting heroin, taking pills, drinking my ass off, and there it is. You know, like you said, you didn't do chapter 3. I did everything in chapter 3. Just anything I could do, you know. And then I even went to a nut house. You know, at one time I went and joined the nut house. I thought they would take care of me. That's the only thing I could think of. And then the next time they put me in there and kept me. I thought, oh no. And then I was going to escape. You know how we are, you know. I'm going to escape and climb the fence at Norwalk and run away, you know. Jesus. They let me out the next day. Anyway, I was in trouble by this time. You know, I just started off to have fun and everything. Well, by this time, a lot of shit was happening. I'd been stabbed and shot at and kidnapped and, and I started having seizures. I would have these convulsions. You know, what would happen is I would say, I'm going to straighten up. I'm not going to get loaded. I'm going to be cool and everything, and I'm going to straighten up for, you know how people tell you, you know, you need to straighten up. So I'd think, I'll straighten up. And then so I'd straighten up, and as soon as I'd straighten up, I'd have a convulsion, you know? So I stopped straightening up. I thought, I'm never gonna straighten up, and I wouldn't quit getting loaded. I always had to stay loaded because I would have convulsions. Sometimes they'd sneak in on me, I'd forget, you know? And I'd bite my tongue on both sides and bash my head, and everything was happening. And then the police started capturing me and taking me to jail, and you know, life is going jibbity, and I think this is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have some fun, you know, and this is not fun no more. Well, I started going to programs, and, you know, they started telling us there were programs in Los Angeles for the people who were using drugs, and we'd go to these drug programs. I would go to these drug programs, and they would help us with this drug, but they'd never mention alcohol, and I wouldn't mention it either. They didn't mention it. I'm not going to mention it. They tell you, what is your drug of choice? You know, and I choose one. They were so stupid, you know. I think, God damn, you know, they never did, you know, put it all together. So that happened year in and year out, and life got worse and worse. And I decided at one point that I just stopped using this dope, because this is what's the problem, this dope and everything. So I said, I'll just drink alcohol. That's it. It's legal, you know, and I can't get in trouble. Ha, ha, ha. So I just started drinking Thunderbird wine. It was cheap, you know. I didn't have a lot of excess cash, you know. So I'm trying to make it through life, you know, and I'm wind up being a bum downtown LA, walking the streets of LA. Yeah. True, a tramp, you know, and everything. And there I was a nice young Negro boy at one time, you know. And here I am, you know, a fool in downtown, an old fool too, you know. So there I don't know what the hell is wrong with me, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what to do. And when it's like that, you know what, you don't have much hope. I'd gone to these different programs, nothing worked. I'm sitting around drinking like that. I couldn't stop, and I'd crawl around the floors. What I'd do is I'd crawl around floors because I couldn't stand up. You know, equilibrium's gone. If you get up, you know you are like that. So you just crawl to the bathroom, crawl back, and just stay on the floor most of the time, you know. That's what I did. And then my stomach hurt all the time. Just hurt. I couldn't eat anymore. I had stopped eating. I was 43 years old and living downtown LA in one of those old flop house hotels, and life was over. That was it for me. I didn't want no more dope. I said, I don't want no more dope. I just want to drink. Every now and then somebody brings some dope by, and I'd do it, but I wasn't going to chase it no more, And what I had become was a grape. That was what I didn't want to be, a grape, a wino. And so we had a family reunion that year in 1979. We're getting ready to have it again. This is August of 1979. And I have a very large family. It's about 300 of us. And so I go make it my business to go to the family reunion. You gonna go, Uncle Donald? My niece and nephew. Yeah, I'm gonna go and everything. So I got myself ready to go to the family reunion. I got there. It was at the park up in Pasadena, Brookside Park. And I got out the car. He headed across the park, and there was a bottle of cold duck wine, and I could see it. We're good at seeing it. And I saw it, and I went and grabbed it and killed it. And I'm ready now, Jack. Okay. And then I'm partying at the picnic and loud, and the family gets together and makes a circle, very much like we do here. We pray and everything. Well, I'm talking loud and making comments, and I remember my cousin Jackie said, "Shut up." And I thought I better shut up because more of them, they'll beat me up, So I shut up the best I could, but they had a song. We have a theme song. Every year we select a theme song, and that year it was "We Are Family" by Sister Sledge. Now the prayer had been said, and we all were eating, we had eaten and everything, and they broke out into this song. Well, I'm drunk, and it sounded good to me, and I got up on the stage and started taking my clothes off. We are family. And they said, "Oh no, take your uncle home," And I thought, how dare them, And so they poured me into the car. I'll never forget that ride. I've gotten in that car, and you know how when you're really drunk, when you just have lost total control, and when the car turns, you go this way, and then when the car goes, you go this way, and they took me back to where I was at, and I was back on the floor again, and I didn't know what to do. And life had gotten pretty bad, and I thought, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And my mother and my aunts and my father and all them had seen me that day, and they said, Donald wasn't like this when he was little. He was a good boy, and look what he's come to. And so they all decided to pray. Now, I told you they're Baptists. We're a Baptist family. Well, they must have prayed. Oh, they prayed that whole night and everything. Well, I didn't know they were praying. All I knew is I had to have a drink. I couldn't stop drinking. I'd try, and I couldn't go for 20 minutes. I could not go. I'd get up in the morning and I'd say, okay, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to have nothing to drink today. Today I'm going to straighten up. You know how we say that thing. And 20 minutes couldn't go by, and I had to have a drink. It just couldn't go no. I shook all the time. I had diarrhea and everything, and so I couldn't make it. Well, that day I tore a page out of the yellow pages. I went up there and tore. I had no. People's stuff was my stuff. I just took anything. So it had alcohol on it. I knew enough to get the alcohol page. And then I said, I got to select a place because I had remembered from all those programs that you have to ask somebody to help you. So I said, okay, and I carried it around for a while. That day got worse. I remember that day we got evicted from this old flop house hotel because we had caused trouble. Once again, I always was causing trouble. If I wasn't burning stuff down, burning mattresses and things, the police are coming, helicopters overhead, always some shit, And so they put us out of there. And I remember I felt so disheartened and, pitiful. And so I called this number, and a lady answered the phone and told me,
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
Yes, they may be able to help me. I asked her, and she said, come on, could I get down there? I said, yes. And the buses were on strike. And I had selected 5th Street because 5th Street comes between 4 and 6. That's the only thing my brain could comprehend. And so I said, okay, and there was no way to get there. I was at MacArthur Park area, and this was down on 5th and Crocker. And some boy was eating pupusas from El Salvador, and I asked him if he would give me a ride down there. He said as soon as he finished eating, he would. He gave me this ride down to 5th and Crocker Street to this place. There was a detox center, and I went on in there over the bums that were sitting around the sidewalk, laying around. I just stepped over and went in. I didn't have no shoes. I had some old raggedy Levi's, an old red T-shirt, and a jacket, and a suitcase that I thought had a lot of good things in it, you know, and it was horrible. But anyway, I went in this place and sat down with the bums. The bums were all sitting there. I just took my place right with the rest of them. And a lady came out and asked me if I was the one that called. She said, "You're the one that called. Come on with me." And I said, "Okay, you know how scary we are." I was so scary. I thought, "Oh no, I don't know what's going to happen." I went in the room with this lady. She sat me down in a little chair, and she asked me a couple of questions. She said, "Are you serious about doing something about this alcohol problem?" And I told her, "Yes, lady, I'm serious as a heart attack." You know, I was tired and beat, you know. And she said, "Okay." And she said, "Well, do you have a gay problem or something like that?" I said, "What?" You know, I said, "Oh." I said, "They're going to put me out of here," you know? And I said, "Well, I'm gay." I said, "But that's not the problem. It's this wine that's killing me." And she said, "I know it, honey." She knew it. And she said, "I asked you that because there's a place in Hollywood that has a good reputation and it's very strict for helping people like you if you're serious." She said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yes." And so she said, "Okay, now tomorrow I want you to remember the name of the place." And I said, "Okay." And she told me the name, and I couldn't remember it. You know, naturally, I couldn't remember it, you know? So I got in the line the next day to be, you know, when they send you out to the places, and I couldn't remember the name, and I thought, I'm gonna mess up. And so the man was sitting there, and he was obviously straight, and he said, "Where did you want to go?" And I couldn't remember the name of it, but I knew it was the gay recovery house. I said, "The gay recovery house." And he went, "Ooh, ooh," like that, you know? And he didn't know what to do, you know? And you know, the way I beat up, I didn't really give a fuck what he did. You know? But a lady was there, and the lady said, "I'll help you, honey." And this lady helped me, and she said, "I'll make the call." She knew where it was. She made the call for me, and she told them, and they said, "Yeah, bring him over the next day." And she gave me a towel and said, "Go lay down and rest." And I had to go there, lay down and watch the bugs run across the room, because that's what was going on for me. And I just didn't know what was going to happen. And the next day, they transported me to this place in Hollywood, and the guy that was taking me was very nervous. I could see that too. Man, he didn't know where we were going. I said, "Just go straight, and I think we're going to hit this street." And we got to the end of the street, and there was a fence. That was the end of the street, and that you turn, that was it. And we turned, that was it. We walked up the walk and went inside, and this man came out and said, "Hey." I said, "Hey." And he said, "You want a cigarette?" I had no cigarettes. I was rolling my own if I could get them. And he gave me a cigarette and sat me down and told me, he said, "What do you know about Alcoholics Anonymous?" And I told him nothing. You know, I was 43 years old, living in Los Angeles, California. As you guys know, one of the biggest cities in the world. I didn't know nothing about AA, just like nothing and everything. And he got up and walked out of the room. I said, "Oh, shit." You know, I said, "You should have told him you knew something about it," you know. He came back, and he told me, he said, "What are you willing to do?" And I told him, "Anything." You know, and I meant it. I meant it with my heart at that minute. And he said, "Well, we're going to take you in the house." And they did. I was so happy. And then he said, "We read the big book in here, and there's a copy of it in the bookcase in there. You get it and read it." Now, nobody else in the house had read it at all, but to my head, it was a command. And I heard him what he said, and I went and got the big book that day. People, my first day of sobriety, that was it, and I got it, and I had some old raggedy glasses that didn't have the handles over your ear part, so I just put them on my nose and held my head up and read the big book. And I loved it. I loved it. It was like, this book is talking about everything, you know what, when you say, there is a solution, you know, I think, thank God, you know, and everything, you know. And, you know, and it goes on, it talks about, more about alcoholism and things like that. And I didn't quite grasp the idea, what they were trying to say, but I knew it was serious, you know what I mean? And then it talked about the agnostic chapters, the agnostic, that was written to try to help people get over the hump, about not believing in God, this was to help them make it through. I didn't have a problem. I believed in God. I just had been busy doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, And so this was a whole new thing for me. And I read chapter 5, and it was like, I closed the book, and I thought, wow, this is serious. They're talking in there about some stuff, you have to do. And I thought, I wonder if I'll be able to do this, It's like, it was really serious. And I thought, man, and there's no loopholes, like you could read it, and you keep reading it, and you think, well, there'll be a loophole here. There's if you can't do this, you may do that. It's just when you think it's leading you, then it closes, or bam, and ooh, and it would give you the answer, though. What the problem was, it would give you the answer, and I got it. It was, and that's the miracle of it. I was one day sober, and I got it, and I understood what, and I was just worried if I was going to be able to do it, and I've been able to do it for almost 14 years. In 3 weeks, I'll be 14 years clean and sober, and I've been doing it. I loved AA when I first got here. I loved it. I noticed it tonight when people were around here. Somebody said, well, we're going to be real nice to you or something like that. That was the thing that impressed me about AA. I didn't even have no shoes on. I'm raggedy, you know what? I'm this little bald-head queen in this meeting down here, and everything. And I think these people are going, they're not going to want to. And I remember a lady came up to me, and she had a nice little blouse on. I guess I noticed, they said. She had a nice little blouse on. Her hair was bobbed real pretty and makeup on nice and everything. And her name was Michelle. I'll never forget her. And she came up to me when I was a newcomer and shook my hand and told me she's glad to see me there. Welcome to AA. I thought, oh, man, that just touched my heart, And these people kept being nice to me, and they kept being nice to me. So I knew they wanted me to be sober. I knew it. So I thought, I got to be sober. I got to do this thing because these people are so nice, Somebody bought me a TV when I got out of that recovery house. They got my dishes for me, the secondhand store. We went up there, and somebody gave me a car, old raggedy car. They said, it'll probably break down, but it'll get you to meetings, and you take newcomer. It ran for 4 years. Yeah, it did, and all these good things happened. I kept going to work. I got a little job for $3.15 an hour, cleaning up old people's behinds, and grateful. I was grateful. I didn't want nobody to see me, but I was grateful. And I kept doing it, and I read the 12 and 12, and I tried to get those steps right, and I started working the steps, and I think that they called me one day and said, Don, we got one over here at the house, and we think you could help him. Would you come over here? We want you to be his sponsor. And I was 5 months sober. 5 months. I thought, okay. And I was that kind of newcomer. Yeah, okay, that's what I'll do. And I just went to do it. Anything they said I was supposed to do, I would do it. I hated some of the things. I did. That's why newcomers said, well, I'll wait and do it when I'm comfortable. But they never asked me if I was comfortable. They just said, do it. And I did it, And so I was his sponsor and everything. And I thought, well, he might ask me about the 4th step. I better hurry up and do it. So I did my 4th step and did my 5th step. I found this girl. Women have been very helpful to me on this program. Not that men haven't, believe me, but women, I picked them. And this girl that I picked had safety pins all in her body and everything. So I thought, she's cool. She'll be able to hear this, And she was, and some of the things that I had done, she had done too. And it was like, great, and it made me want to be in AA. And then when I did that, I was part of AA, then I had done my 5th step and 6th and 7th, and I'm marching on to do 8 and 9. I've had lovely experiences with the 9th step. Gosh, it makes you feel so good when you do a good amends, even if they're half-ass amends, if it turns out okay, you feel great, like you really are somebody. You can lift your head up once again. You're not walking around ashamed. And I had, been a tramp, and so I thought people in AA would say things like, well, I went back to school and blah, 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 and I'd listen. And I remember this one lady, this black lady, lived over in South Central, and she had red lips and her hair real cute and everything. And she had been a tramp woman, bad lady, you know, really bad. Gave her kids bologna and ketchup, you know, and stuff like, you know, old drunk lady, you know, one of my kind of girls, you know. And she was sitting there all sharp and with a suit on, and she had gone back to school. So I listened, paid attention, so I went back to college and got a degree in psychology, you know, and have been able to move ahead. I got shoes now. I got so many shoes. I don't need all the shoes. Sometimes I say, you don't need that many shoes. That's gluttony, you know, and everything. I've asked God to take away a lot of stuff from me because I want to be in the light, you know. I want to be walking in the light. I don't want to be in the dark no more. I was in the dark trying to do what I wanted to do, thinking I was smart, and that was the dumbest thing in the world, you know. Sometimes, you know, it's like, I think, God, if I had known before, you know, what I should have done, you know, I could have done this, but all those experiences, those horrible experiences have put me in the light. You know, and that's what has happened to me here. I love being in Alcoholics Anonymous. I love being able to come out here and tell you what it's done for me. We had a little thing in church. We used to call it the testimonial service, and we'd get up and we'd testify what God had done for us, and that's something like what AA is here. We testify what God has done. I'll tell you this little story because this is the end, and and my father died, and my aunts died, and all the older people in the family died, you know, and they had been in charge of the family picnic and everything. And a couple of years ago, I was at the family picnic, and I'm standing around there, and my cousins came up to me and said, Donald, will you lead the family in the prayer this year? God, what a thing. You know what I did? I turned around real fast and said, oh, God, don't let me fuck up. Then I said the prayer. And I did what I learned here in AA. I kept it simple. You know, I kept it very simple. They love me now, my family. I just spent the afternoon with one of my nieces and her brand new baby. She had this baby by herself, and nobody was there up at the hospital. And I said, I'll come. She said, will you, Uncle Donald? I went up there and was there when the baby was born. I was the first one to see it. She didn't see it because she was out cold, you know. And I saw the baby first, and now she's 6 months old, a beautiful child. And I got 2 other nieces flying in from San Francisco that I'm gonna pick up at the airport tomorrow, and I'm an uncle now. I'm, you know, a respectable uncle. I'm not a disgrace anymore, and it's because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And thank you very much for letting me tell you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.